Let's bring in our panel to discuss. So Republican Congressman James Comer, the chairman of the Oversight Committee, was on CNN earlier today. Here's why he says he supports President Trump's decision to close all federal DEI-related offices. Take a listen.
There are already rules on the books to discriminate. You can't discriminate against a pregnant worker. You have to accommodate them. That is the law. You cannot discriminate against a minority or someone that's too old. These laws are written in. You cannot discriminate. So we believe the DEI is just an unnecessary layer of bureaucracy.
Bakari Sellers, what's your reaction to that?
No, I think that was a very elementary understanding of the value of diversity, equity, and inclusion. I mean, you combine what Donald Trump did along with him revoking the executive order from LBJ in 1965, which prohibited businesses or businesses who had employees that were seeking federal contracts from discriminating against them based on the basis of race or sex. You have a very chilling effect, Jake. I mean, it's more than that. I think that we're having this robust discussion in this country right now about why diversity is important. But when you have socioeconomic levels that continue to drift further and further apart between African Americans and their white counterparts, or for, one of the clearest examples is my wife nearly dying in childbirth and Black women being 3 to 4 times more likely to die during childbirth than white women. That factors into all of these decisions and how the input creates the output, Jake. And so, Make America Great Again has become Make America 1964 again.
Tiffany, what do you think?
Yeah, that's just simply not true. We live in the greatest country on earth where there is opportunity, diversity is welcomed. We are a melting pot that comes together in this country, and there is life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness for all. I think the bigger picture of this is that the federal government has spent billions of dollars on DEI, and the American people are asking, why was that money not spent on securing our border? Why was that money not spent on helping homeless veterans, or perhaps helping those people whose lives have been destroyed by natural disasters, specifically in North Carolina? Many are still waiting for relief. So this is President Trump's promises made and promises kept. He campaigned on ending DEI discrimination within the federal government and returning America back to a merit-based society where people are hired based on their skill, their talent, and their work ethic. That's the picture of the American dream. There's opportunity for all in this country, and President Trump is delivering on that.
So, Bakari, in October, Pew Research surveyed a group of American workers about DEI in the workplace. Pew described DEI as, quote, efforts to hire employees of different racial and ethnic backgrounds, genders, age groups, sexual orientations, unquote. And asked for general reactions. 52% surveyed in October said DEI is a good thing. That's down from 56%. Who said the same thing in February 2023. 26% said it's neither good nor bad, down from 28%. 21% said it's a bad thing, which is up from 16%. What do those numbers tell you?
I mean, I think that means that the overarching majority of Americans understand the value of diversity. I find it kind of bold and rich for Tiffany to say that my experiences weren't true. But one of the things about DEI that we need to understand in the value of diversity is you have places and individuals who grow up in places like food deserts, majority of which are African American, and poor. And that is something the USDA focuses on. African American maternal health, the Veterans Hospital, access to those federal grants. I mean, environmental injustices, Black folk and brown folk and poor folk who live in brownfields or have to drink unhealthy water or breathe unclean air. And while I appreciate Tiffany's outlook that a utopia is here, Vivek earlier, simply saying we've reached the promised land. One day we will. Hopefully my children are here to see that. But until then, promises made, promises kept is exactly what Donald Trump is doing, which is the disappointment we have in the Democratic Party not having an organized pushback. And those Black folk like Stephen A., Eric Adams, Snoop, Nellie, and others who have coddled him and allowed him to give him some space when he does things like this, which diversely affect many people of color in this country.
Tiffany, what about the parts of departments and agencies that focus on, for example, disparities in maternal health or food deserts and the like? Is there still room to acknowledge that there are racial disparities in this country and that the federal government should work to continue to push equity?
Well, look, it's exactly what Representative Comer was talking about. A lot of these issues are already solved within the government, and the DEI component is just another layer of bureaucracy. So you can look at DEI even within our military. We need to get our agencies back and focused on what they're good at, not special interest projects. DEI has essentially rendered our military as less effective. It has one role: lethality and readiness. And Bakari, I wasn't negating, I never said that your journey and story was not true. All of us come from different walks of life and different backgrounds. And I think it's important to point out also that these federal employees are getting paid leave. I mean, that's incredible. I didn't have that when I quit my job to fly to Walter Reed to help my husband who was hanging on for life serving our country. I never got back pay for anything. So I think we need to look at the bigger picture of this and where our country is headed. There is opportunity for all. We need the government to be efficient and effective and deliver results for the American people. That is clearly why Donald Trump won. And Democrats should pay attention to what the American people are seeing and feeling. Leading up to the election, 78% of Americans said that they do not feel like their children's lives will be any better than theirs. That's a very dark place for Americans to be in this country.
Okay, Tiffany Smiley and Bakari Sellers, thanks to both of you. As President